members for our council meeting for today. Mr. Cardenas is excused along with Mr. Labange, Mr. Reyes. Mr. Englander, please come to chambers. Mr. Englander, please come to chambers. Mr. Krikorian, please come to chambers. Also excused today, Mr. Cardenas, Mr. Labange, Mr. Reyes, and Ms. Perry. So we are at a bare minimum quorum. Well, let's go live. We'll start with presentations. All right, here we go. We are now live, broadcasting through Los Angeles. This is the Los Angeles City Council meeting for Friday, September 9th. I'm Council Member Zine. Want to acknowledge our council members that are here. Mr. Alarcon, Mr. Huizar, Mr. Koretz, Mr. Parks, Mr. Rosendahl, Mr. Wesson, and Mr. Garcetti. We meet Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, Los Angeles City Hall. We have remote at Van Nuys and San Pedro. And we are going to begin with our presentations. Our first presentation will be made by Councilmember Eric Garcetti from Council District 13. Councilmember Garcetti, the stage is yours, sir. Mr. Garcetti is going to be joined by Mr. Huizar and Mr. Alarcon.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, and a very good morning. It is a great pleasure for me today in El Pueblo de Los Angeles to welcome a very special guest, a man who is the leader of our sister city, Mexico City, and a great not only national leader in Mexico, but international leader, a man who has pioneered what it means to be a great, I will say mayor, even though he is technically head of government of Mexico City. Please give a warm Los Angeles welcome to Marcelo Luis Ebrard. Mr. Ebrard previously served as Secretary General of the former Mexican Federal District Department. He was a Minister of Public Security and Minister of Social Development of the Mexican capital, all of which prepared him for his role now, leading one of the great cities of the world, and a city that we are so pleased to be twinned with for so many reasons. We look here in the chambers and we share a common past. We see the flags that have flown over this city, the Spanish, Mexican, Californian, and American flags, the four countries that we have been a part of. We share the ties between our peoples that have immigrated back and forth between our cities. And when you look at folks of Mexican descent, Mexico City, of course, is the largest in the world, but Los Angeles is second. And then you have to go back to Mexico to find the third largest city with residents of Mexican descent. But since 2009, Mr. Ebrard has served as chair of the World Mayors Council on Climate Change. And we know here as well as anywhere, as does Mexico City, the impact on human health and on our lives of pollution and of climate change. He is leading by example in Mexico City in ways that Mr. Rosendahl, as chair of our Transportation Committee, as others who have looked to say other ways of getting around a city, other ways of reducing our impact on the air around us and on the way that we transit through the city, has been able to reduce and monitor the emissions that are happening in Mexico City and inspire us around the world to do the same. As mayor, he's played a crucial role in expanding the city's Metrobus system in Mexico City, which now boasts well over 500,000 passengers a day, reducing 75,000 car trips, annually reducing CO2 emissions by 100,000 tons. We had to convert that from metrics, but 100,000 tons. Yes, that deserves a round of applause. Last year, he launched the city's bike share program, EcoBC, and Mr. Rosendahl, the mayor, others have been very involved in trying to do the same thing here, which is to bring a bike sharing system to the city of Los Angeles. There's currently 1,200 bicycles at 90 stations, averaging 9,000 trips per day. And I hope that you'll have a chance while you're here to see what we're doing in Los Angeles to green our city. And I know on behalf of the mayor who's traveling back from Washington, he was with our president for the job speech and very much wanted to be here, and I know you'll be able to see him later, that on behalf of the mayor as well as the city, that you have a chance to see some of the work that we're doing. Whether it's making sure that we reduce our CO2 emissions, whether it's what we're doing with landfills and recycling. Mr. Englander has been a great leader in that area. Whether it's looking also at what we can do to make sure that we get around the city in a different way. We join you as partners, as sister cities together. Brevemente en español es mi honor, es un honor para mí presentar al alcalde, al jefe de gobierno del Distrito Federal de México, Marcelo Luis Ebrard. Él es un amigo de nuestra ciudad, nuestras ciudades son ciudades hermanistas y es un placer porque él es un líder no solamente en México, pero él es un líder internacional y un gran líder por todos de nosotros demostrar el camino para un mundo más saludable, más fuerte, y es mi placer presentar dos colegas para sus palabras también. I'd like to present two other of my colleagues for a few words as well before we hear from our great leader who is here. And if you don't mind, Mr. Alarcon, even though he has some seniority, I'm going to start with the immigrant from Mexico, from Zacatecas, not from DF. He's but a great man who has represented the 14th Council District. Please welcome Jose Huizar.
Thank you, Mr. President. And indeed, it is a great honor to have the mayor of Mexico City with us here today, the mayor Marcelo Luis Ebrard, that comes visit us often in Los Angeles. He is no stranger to the city that hosts the second largest population of Mexicans outside of Mexico City. And if you've seen the work that our esteemed colleague in Mexico City has done, you would see that he is leading the way in issues that deal with the environment, transportation, and the many challenges that that challenge large cities like Mexico City. I've been to Mexico City on a few occasions, and he has opened up his departments, his colleagues, for us to learn about what they're doing on transportation and the environment. As our sister city, I can say that we share a lot in common with Mexico City. But what this mayor has done for us is continue to fortify and strengthen that bond that we have with Mexico City. So, Mayor, on behalf of the City of Los Angeles, I want to thank you for not only fomenting and strengthening this bond with Mexico City, but you certainly have been a great friend down there as you open the doors to many of us when we go to Mexico City as we continue to fortify this bond. And yes, as a Mexican born council member myself, it gives me great pleasure to welcome our mayor from Mexico City, and especially when it gets so close to September 16th when we celebrate the independence of Mexico as a whole. And so it's great to invite and have the mayor here, not only because he is a mayor of Mexico City, but as a person, he has been a great leader that not only has made life better for residents of Mexico City, but for Mexicans in the United States. So we welcome you once again, esteemed mayor, and we look forward to continuing our relationship. And we want to thank you for the gift that I know you will talk about in just a moment that you're giving to the City of Los Angeles to continue our friendship and our work that we have one another. And it will be a gift that will be proudly displayed in the birthplace of the City of Los Angeles at El Pueblo. But we'll let the mayor himself give that little surprise. Thank you very much.
I too want to join with my colleagues to thank the mayor for joining us today. I think most people don't understand how powerful the mayor of Mexico City really is. 70,000 appointments are made by a single mayor in Mexico City. In many respects, it is as powerful as the president of Mexico. And that is why we want to wish him well in his candidacy for president. But I do want to mention a couple of policy changes. In a very religious Catholic country, he has promoted same-sex marriage in Mexico City and has legalized it against all odds. So it is not only his improvements of the infrastructure and tackling environmental challenges in Mexico City and becoming the greenest city in Latin America. It is also his work on social reform and conscientiousness upraising in the country of Mexico. What happens in Mexico City impacts everything throughout Mexico. I'm very pleased that he is here because he recognizes that a successful leader in Mexico must be in tune and working with the United States because we have so many relationships, not just strategic, but personal relationships. And so as somebody who is married to somebody who was born in Mexico, if not born myself in Mexico, I can tell you that my family and I are very pleased to welcome the mayor along with my colleagues to the city of Los Angeles. Gracias por estar aquí.
Ladies and gentlemen, damas y caballeros, quiero presentar el jefe de gobierno del Distrito Federal de Mexico. I'd like to present to you the head of government, federal government in District of Mexico. Please welcome Marcelo Luis Ebrard.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm going to speak in English and Spanish, if you don't mind. Thank you for your invitation, kind invitation. In the first place, I would like to say that this is the second time that I have the honor to address a message from Mexico City to you. And in this occasion, I would like to present to you a special gift from Mexico City to LA, Los Angeles City, celebrating 42 years of very close relationship, commercial ties, and thousands of histories of success, suffer, and change, and work together. This gift from Mexico City is about wings, because the main symbol of the city is an angel. So we have exactly the same wings in the Reforma Avenue, which is the main avenue of the country, I will say. And we approved in the city to have another wings for Los Angeles City, exactly the same than in Mexico City. The meaning, we would like to say, in the first place, thank you very much for your support, the strength ties that we have, and our best wishes for your future. It's about fly, it's about the sky is the limit. So we can have the future that we decide to have. Nothing can be forget only in a pessimistic way. Sometimes we are in a societies with a pessimistic idea about the short-term future. So this is a message of hope, decision, and finally success. So we can share with you the spirit of the city, Mexico City. Why so? Well, 10 years ago, our city was in the first rank in pollution competition all over the world. It's not the case today. We improved the quality of the air. But a lot of people says by the time, 10 years ago, oh, this is impossible. It's going to be very expensive. It's nonsense to have so ambitious goals about the quality of air. So we did it as a society, as a city. But also in the issue of safety issues, we have the commitment to maintain our city outside the violence trends that we have seen in all parts of the country. And we did it, finally. Why so? Well, you have strategic decisions in the city about expand education facility for the young people. We are supporting 200,000 young people on the public high schools in order to reduce the number of young people that leave the school each year before end their studies. So we are supporting 200,000, and we are paying $50 per month if you are in the school. So they are in the school, and they improve their qualifications, their results, and for the end, after 4 years, we are going to have 120,000 young people in a graduation in the main square of the city. All the way they were outside the schools. If we have a lot of young people outside the schools, we are going to lose the fight for safety society. But also we are expanding the public spaces. We are supporting everything that make us a community. Well, this is the idea in the city. So we have the objective, the goal to maintain the city outside the violence trend, and we are right now, we are in the place that we wanted to be 4 years ago. The same thing about the economy. We have a very high private sector investment this year, greater than past 25 years, and also about climate action, about freedom of the people. That's why we support the same-sex marriage in the city, or the abortion law, or other laws, which are the main idea. It's about if you want to build a community, you need to respect the decisions of the people, the individual decision, not to punish them, not to try to destroy the people because their sexual preferences or decisions. So we are building a new kind of community in the city, and it's working on. We have a society more tolerant today than it was 4 years ago. So we want to share with you those hopes for the future, and that's why we bring from Mexico City a new wings for this city, wishing that you can find the way to make your main objectives and hopes of your society the way to reach them in the short term. That is our best wish for Los Angeles also. Let me introduce finally the people who made me the honor to be here from Mexico also. We have the Secretary of the Environment of the city. She was the person who prepared the climate action plan of the city. Right now we have a pact between 193 cities all over the world, including Los Angeles, in order to reduce emissions, in order to have an international verification of our actions, and in order to act in the short term. And we are not spending more time, wasting the time, waiting for a new treaty that is not going to happen in the short term. So we started to work between the cities. And Los Angeles is a key player of this initiative. We have the presence of the mayor of Los Angeles, Tony Villaraigosa, past year in this agreement. So I invited Marta Delgado, which she is the main actor in this idea. Thank you, Marta. We invited also Mr. Luis Bartman and his wife, Savi. They are in front of the Citizen Council for Security of the city. They work in a pro bono idea. There are a lot of citizens working with them, and they are also authors of our success in safety issues. Thank you, Luis and Steve. Let me introduce also the national president of the PRD, which is my party, the left party in Mexico, Mr. Jesus Zambrano. Thank you. and Rosalinda Bueso, which is my fiancée. Thank you, Rosalinda. Okay. Thank you very much for your time. So we want to share with you those objectives. Action in order to reduce climate change all over the world. Action in order to open to the young people new opportunities. Why not? We can do it. We can also support innovation. For instance, in Mexico City, we can offer a high standard medical services for California and the United States. Why not? So we sent several weeks ago to Los Angeles a medical exposition, and it was a success really. So we can find ways, new ways for the future in our common goals, in our common necessities and demands. So thank you very much for your kind attention and your time. Dije al principio que iba a hablar en español, al final lo resumo. Diría que venimos a entregar unas alas a Los Ángeles para compartir con ustedes esperanzas, que vuele muy alto la ciudad de Los Ángeles, que lleguen muy lejos y llegaremos juntos, y cuenten con la Ciudad de México también para estar muy cerca de Los Ángeles. Muchas gracias por su atención. Thank you very much again. Best wishes from Mexico City.
Councilmember Rosendahl.
First of all, Mayor, welcome.
Mr. Mayor, we have a colleague that wants to address you.
Yeah, we're delighted and honored and thrilled to have you here. What you have shown is the leadership that we look forward to all over the world. The climate change, it's everybody's world, it's everybody's climate. The war on drugs and all of the violence that is going on, and your ability to work with community groups and to work with average citizens and give them hope is phenomenal. Your investment in young people and their futures is dramatic and dynamic. Is a city of 9 million, but a metropolitan area of over 20 million. When I went to the Great Old Pyramids right outside of Mexico City, I could feel the historic connection with the original people from Mexico and how they're respected within the historic context. And as an openly gay guy, first guy elected to city council who was openly gay when he ran for office, it's not easy to be a gay person, even though that isn't something you prefer or choose. It's your orientation. And to see your country move in the direction with such a dynamic appreciation of all of mankind is inspirational. And I think your wings, we need to soar like a bird, all of us, because you give us hope, and God bless you for coming here. Muchas gracias.
Gracias. Thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, I would like to thank you very much. I would like to present to you those are the famous wings from Mexico City for Los Angeles. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Maybe a photograph. Yeah.
Just to make it clear, this is a replica of what will be delivered. The original is 12 by 12, I understand, and that will be delivered to El Pueblo.
And that was no fault of the Mexican government. I think that was the United States government. With 9/11 coming, the customs issues were a little more difficult. But we are so blessed that you brought this beautiful replica. And you can see here in the front row we have the greatest religious leaders of this city that are here today. And I don't think there's a religious tradition that doesn't have some image of angels. And so it is incredibly meaningful for all of us because, especially as we commemorate, as we will be talking about shortly, a decade since 9/11, this image of peace and of progress, of soaring into the future will be very close to our hearts. And I know Mr. Huizar will do an amazing job at El Pueblo to make sure that it's exhibited in a great position. So thank you. Muchísimas gracias por su presencia y por este gran regalo.
Thank you all. Mr. Garcetti, you have two more, and Mr. Huizar has one more, and those are the remaining presentations.
All right.
Would you like to go with
Sure.
the next one?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll do that while I'm here.
All right.
Thank you so much. If I could ask our religious leaders to join me for our next presentation. In about an hour and 20 minutes' time, we will open ceremonies outside that's the beginning of the city's official commemoration of the 10th anniversary of the series of shocking attacks that senselessly claimed the lives of thousands of innocent people, that shook our nation to the core and that led to war overseas. Today we see a new tower that is rising from the smoldering rubble in downtown New York. And as we commemorate the 10th anniversary of the attacks, we must use this weekend as a time to raise our spirit, to say who we are as human beings, what we believe in, and the faith that we continue to carry for our fellow human being. To triumph over tragedy by coming together as Americans can. The seal of our great nation reads, E pluribus unum, out of many, one. And there is no place better that is a better embodiment of that than here in Los Angeles, a place where truly all the cultures of the world come together as one. Ours is a nation that is built on the promise that opportunity and life here are not defined by who our parents are, how we worship, who we love, how much money we have in our pocket, what degrees we hold. Ours is a nation of Americans, and ours is a city, as we just mentioned, of angelinos, of angels. Christians, Jews, Muslims, Sikhs, black, white, brown, Asian, Latino, we are Americans, we are angelinos, and on this anniversary we stand strong together for peace, for justice, and for healing the wounds of intolerance and ignorance that divide us and that ultimately are the source of violence. To this end, tomorrow evening here at City Hall, the Los Angeles Council of Religious Leaders and I are hosting One Light on the Spring Street steps at 7 p.m. 500 lanterns will be lit from a central flame and carried forth into houses of worship across the Southland. Just picture that for a moment. From one place we will see these lights lit across our houses of worship with a clear message that we may be many, but we also are one. It is my honor to welcome an incredible assemblage here of religious leaders. And I will go through who they are behind me, and I hope I have everybody. My apologies in advance, but I'm pretty sure I do. And let me also just say to my dear friend, Bishop John Bruno, who I believe came up with this idea. Not that he's a man of credit, but I just want, whenever there's a good idea, in case somebody wants to copy it, they need to know who to go to. For his love not only of this city and of neighborhoods that we've shared, but his love of all human beings, of being a light. And in many ways, you are physically embodying who you are, which is whenever I've had a conversation, whenever my constituents talk to you, it is like we carry forth that light to our own homes and communities. But another dear friend who is here as well in our chamber, an Archbishop, Hovnan Derderian, who is the primate of the Armenian Church Western Diocese, and he is president of the Los Angeles Council of Religious Leaders. He has been a leader not just here locally in leading those conversations, but internationally he is seen as one of the greatest conveners of religious leaders across different traditions. An incredibly well-educated, insightful man, but whose heart is unparalleled. So we welcome him to our chambers, as well as Rabbi Mark Diamond, a fighter for social justice and our Executive Vice President of the Board of Rabbis of Southern California. We have also with us Brother Shakil Syed, the Executive Director of the Islamic Shura Council of Southern California. And I guess I don't have the full list, but we will make sure everybody gets mentioned. And of course, as I mentioned, Bishop John Bruno, who is the Bishop of the Los Angeles Episcopal Diocese. And I'd like to ask Bishop Bruno to come forward and to share a reading and some thoughts on 9/11. And he will read the names of the fallen from Southern California. And colleagues, we often adjourn our meetings in memory of those who were lost, but remember those planes were headed to Los Angeles in three cases, I believe. They had Angelinos on them. And as we reflect on that day, Los Angeles' history will always be tied into what happened on September 11th. Not just directly, but of course, because we are part of a common fabric. And I want to thank one of the greatest weavers of all who brings us back together, Bishop John Bruno. Archbishop Derderian.
Honorable President Eric Garcetti, distinguished members of the City Council, it is my privilege to once again introduce to you the leaders of Los Angeles Council of Religious Leaders. We have with us the convener of One Light, the Right Reverend John Bruno, Bishop of the Episcopal Diocese of Los Angeles, the Executive Vice President of the Board of Rabbis of Southern California, Rabbi Mark Diamond, the Right Reverend Alexis Smith, representing the Most Reverend Jose Gomez, the Roman Catholic Archbishop and the Archdiocese of Los Angeles, Bishop Mary Ann Swenson, United Methodist Church, California Pacific Conference, the Right Reverend Mary Glasspool, Bishop Suffragan, Episcopal Diocese of Los Angeles, and the Executive Director of Islamic Shura Council of Southern California, Brother Shakil Sayed. Each gathering in the forthcoming days is a special time for us all as we, citizens of this great city of Los Angeles and the great country of the United States of America, unite in common cause and common prayer to commemorate the 10th anniversary of September 11th and embrace future harmony. Leadership will remain a key element in the life of our communities, not only to foresee and envision peace, justice, and true freedom, but above all to be the architects of the new world. The commemoration of the attacks of September 11th will honor the blessed memory of the victims and transform the world with hopes and new aspirations for a brighter future. Those who have fallen were deprived of the beauty of life, God's immeasurable gift. We have the moral duty to prevent any kind of similar devastations from ever taking place in our respective communities and the entire world. Together, as religious and civic leaders, we have a special message to convey to the people of God. God is the giver of life. Any crime committed towards life and humanity is a crime against the Creator. Therefore, in order to make this world a prosperous one for future generations, we need to unite in common prayer. God calls on us all to become His holy hands. Our beloved brother Bishop John Bruno, a founding member of LA Council of Religious Leaders, shared with us all, as the religious leaders and civic leaders of the City Council of Los Angeles, a unique vision to honor the memory of September 11th. We are truly inspired and strengthened to witness the genuine collaboration of the City Council, and thank you all as the Honorable President and distinguished members of the City Council. Our act of unity will give the citizens of the City of Los Angeles a strong message of partnership in the life of community and a statement of peace and prosperity. I will now first invite Bishop John Bruno, the convener of One Light commemorative ceremony, to comment on the One Light observance, and I will then also invite Rabbi Mark Diamond to lead us into a moment of silence and the reading of the names of the victims.
As a native Angelino and a person who's worked with many people in this chamber on different things for human justice and equality, I want to thank this City Council for making room for us. I want you to know that we as the people of God in this place are not just the three Abrahamic faiths represented at this microphone, but our brother here, the Sikhs, the Hindus, and especially a person who's not here and would love to be here, is John Bacchus, the head of the Greek Church. We together believe that one light brings about one peace in one world. And most of us come from immigrant families, and we're here, and we bring to this place a unique gift, a gift of creative tolerance with one another, reaching and touching one another's hearts with compassion and understanding. Tomorrow, in the evening, we will light these lights, and they will go back to each individual congregation, and that light will continue to burn to commemorate the loss of the lives of the people who died on September 11th. We do this after sundown tomorrow night so that all of us, whether we're of the Jewish tradition, the Islamic tradition, or the Christian tradition, can carry back to our houses of worship a light that we need to keep burning. The only way that light keeps burning is by each and every one of us kindling the fire a little more each time we think about an act of hatred or suffering or sorrow. I spent lots of years on the street working as a police officer, and then I worked as a chaplain in this department with Councilman Zine and Councilman Parks. And I have to tell you, we can be transformers. No pun intended. And we can change the world around us by simple acts of kindness. Be kind, be respectful, be loving, be together. Rabbi Mark Diamond.
Thank you, Bishop. Friends, this is a moment sacred to memory. I'm going to ask everyone in the chamber to please stand for a moment. This, as many of you know, is a shofar. It is a ram's horn, sacred symbol of the Jewish holy days that are soon upon us. And the ram's horn is sounded for the entire month leading up to the Jewish holy days of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. It is a call to remembrance. We pause today to remember the victims of 9/11, 10 years ago. We pray for their families. We pray for those who survived the horrendous attacks in our country. And this shofar is a call to redemption. Reminds us that we are God's partners in healing and repairing our world and in bringing forth the sacred vision of one light, one peace, one world. I will now sound the shofar. Following that, we'll have a moment of silence, and my colleagues and I will read the names of the Southern California victims of 9/11.
David Angel of Pasadena, Lynn Angel of Pasadena, David Siama Aoyama of Culver City, Carolyn Bigun of Santa Monica,
Mary Berenson of Los Angeles, Edmund Glazer of Chatsworth, John Hoffer of Bellflower, Barbara Keating of Palm Springs,
Jude Larson of Los Angeles, Natalie Larson of Los Angeles, Daniel John Lee, Los Angeles, Thomas Pecorelli, Los Angeles, John Wankus, Torrance,
Yanene Betru of Burbank, Stanley Hall of Rancho Palos Verdes, Chandler Keller of El Segundo, Dora Menchaca of Santa Monica,
Christopher Newton of Anaheim, Ruben Ornendo of Los Angeles, Robert Peninger of Poway, Mary Ray Soper of Santa Barbara,
Tori Bellarucci from Beverly Hills, Daniel Brandhorst of Los Angeles, David Brandhorst of Los Angeles, Dorothy Dirijo of Long Beach, Lisa Frost of Rancho Santa Margarita, Ronald Gamboa of Los Angeles, Maclovio Joe Lopez Jr. of Norwalk, Timothy Ward of San Diego,
Gerald Haskins of Anaheim Hills, Melissa Rose Barnes of Redlands, Diora Bodley of San Diego,
We remember these victims. We remember all of the victims. And we remember the connection that this City of Angels had with that tragic day. We could have a moment of silence and of prayer and reflection. I want to thank our religious leaders who have been here today. Thank you all. You may be seated. Thank you to our religious leaders, and we hope that we will recommit our lives to a life of peace, that these lights may burn inside each one of us, and that on this anniversary we make some sense of an unsensible act by the actions that we take. Thank you all very much, and thank you, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Garcetti. Thank you for our religious leaders from our different religions here in the great City of the Angels. Thank you. Mr. Huizar?
Commemorate it for a second.
Next presentation will be by Councilmember Huizar.
Thank you, Mr. President. And today it gives me great pleasure to recognize CASA 0101, the only live performance theater in Boyle Heights. With us today is actor, producer, screenwriter, president, and activist. Can I add that to your bio, although it's not here? An activist, Eddie Padilla, and I want to thank him for being here this morning. I also want to extend a warm thank you to writer and founder Josefina Lopez, who wrote the movie and actually did several plays on it for the movie called Real Women Have Curves. And I also want to thank Emmanuel Delig and the rest of the CASA 0101 team for their hard work and determination in expanding the artistic and creative services they offer to Boyle Heights. They are getting ready for tonight's opening of their new 5,400 square foot state-of-the-art theater in Boyle Heights. Now, they've been in Boyle Heights for a few years now and have been an anchor in the emerging arts district that we see from Mission on First Street to Soto on First Street. And it gives me great honor and pleasure to say that the City of Los Angeles helped them accomplish this goal through some support, not only financial, but to get through the sometimes bureaucratic permitting process that we have. It was certainly something that my office helped make sure that we got through because of the important work that CASA 0101 is doing in our community. The Emerging Arts District on First Street is also being supported by Measure R funds from Measure R, from the MTA. And we recently also got on the other side of the Arts District a well-known artistic group called Self-Help Graphics that many of you may be familiar with. They were in East Los Angeles and were looking for a home, and we're very happy to now have them in Boyle Heights. But to see the work that CASA 0101 does, it not only provides much-needed theater space in Boyle Heights, but it provides young people with acting lessons. It provides local folks to talk about one's culture, one's life experience, and to continue to promote the arts, which unites us all here in the City of Los Angeles. So with that, I wanted to thank Eddie and his hard work, and I'm really, really excited because I think with tonight's grand opening at CASA 0101 will signal the continued expansion and promotion of this great new arts district in Boyle Heights, and CASA 0101 has been leading the charge, and I want to personally thank you when we worked with you and challenged you to provide more with our young people, and Eddie has been providing countless of volunteer hours throughout Boyle Heights, exposing our young people to the arts and to acting and what the possibilities may be there. So thank you very much, Eddie. I look forward to tonight's ribbon cutting, And tonight here in the City Council and for the City of Los Angeles, I wanted to present this resolution to CASA 0101 for your endless commitment to Boyle Heights and the City of Los Angeles. Thank you so much, Eddie. Congratulations. Where do you want to say a few words?
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Councilman Jose Huizar, for this beautiful presentation. My name, as Councilman Huizar said, is Edward Padilla. I'm the president of the board of CASA 0101. And on behalf of CASA 0101, Josefina Lopez, our founder, Emmanuel Deleage, one of our other founders, and the community of Boyle Heights, we want to thank you, Councilman Huizar, and the City of Los Angeles for your unwavering support of our work, of our growth project, of the arts and arts education throughout Los Angeles, and in your belief in the power of arts to revitalize and strengthen our communities. Thank you immensely. Josefina Lopez asked me to say something on her behalf. She is entrenched in the work of getting ready for our grand opening tonight, and she wanted to say that I made a promise to myself that I would leave my neighborhood, but only to come back with an education so that I could come back and contribute to this community that I love, and also to create a cultural center that was never present for me in this neighborhood when I was growing up here in Boyle Heights. So she wants to also personally thank you, Councilman Huizar, and the City of Los Angeles for your support. We invite all of you to join us for this grand opening celebration. It begins tonight and it continues through October 23rd with the 20th anniversary production of Real Women Have Curves.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And you're all welcome today. What's the address, Eddie?
The address is 2102 East 1st Street, Los Angeles, California, 90033, on the corner of St. Louis and 1st, across the street from the Hollenbeck Police Department.
Excellent. And you heard the words from Josefina, who wrote the story, Real Women Have Curves, and we have a lot of talent in our communities, and with CASA 0101 continuing to improve itself, we're going to see a lot more of that talent develop and go on and do great things, and hopefully many of them come back to the community as Josefina did too. Thank you very much, Eddie, for being here. Congratulations again. Thank you.
Mr. Huizar, thank you. Our next presentation, Mr. Garcetti. Well, we can call the roll. As Mr. Garcetti is coming to the podium, let's call the roll, Mr. Clerk.
Very good. Alarcon, Cardenas, Englander, Huizar, Koretz, Krikorian, Labange, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendahl, Wesson, Zine, Garcetti, 10 members present and a quorum. Mr. President.
Thank you. We will return to presentations and
go ahead if you want to run through. Once you run through the.
All right. All right. Mr. Clerk, let's.
Approval of the minutes.
Mr. Krikorian, second by Mr. Koretz.
That would be bring us to commendatory resolutions for approval.
Well, we will do that now. Mr. Englander and Mr. Alarcon.
Mr. President, at this point in time, would you like to run through the agenda?
Let's do that.
Very good. Item 1 is an item for which a public hearing has been held. An Arts, Parks, Health, and Aging Committee report has been circulated and is now before you.
On item number 1, open the roll. Close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Okay. Number 2, 3.
Mr. President, items 2 and 3 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration.
We have a card on 3.
Mr. President, I believe you have cards on 3A and 3B. If you wish, you...
we'll combine them.
Yes.
So let's hold 3 on number 2. Mr. City Attorney?
I believe there's an amendment.
On number 3?
On number 2, if you could hold that on the desk.
All right. We'll hold number 2 and number 3. Let's continue with 4, 5, and 6.
Mr. President, on the continuation agenda, item 4 is an item for which a public hearing has not been held.
And we do have a card, so let's hold number 4.
Yes, sir.
How about 5 and 6?
That would bring us to the special meeting. I understand there's an amending motion on item 5, so I would advise to not go into that at this point in time.
What about number 6?
The same.
Special meeting?
Item 6 is included in that special meeting,
okay.
Sir.
So that's the agenda. And then we have public comment also. Okay, Mr. Garcetti, take it away.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, and thank you to everybody for your patience and your indulgence for my third presentation today. But this is a tradition that we have done in council chambers that I'm very proud to continue here today as we celebrate Life Insurance Awareness Month here in the city of Los Angeles. This is the 8th anniversary that September is our Life Insurance Awareness Month, which is an effort to raise awareness among consumers and producers about the need for life insurance. So many folks around us in our community are those folks who connect us with that assurance that only life insurance can provide. A study revealed in 2010 that 30% of American households have no life insurance coverage, and more than half, 58 million, are underinsured, leaving them more vulnerable in the event of an accident or a tragedy or an unexpected death. Now more than ever, it is vital that consumers protect their financial security, and life insurance has been doing that exactly for more than 200 years for Americans. I'm pleased to join today with the National Association of Insurance and Financial Advisors, really the industry leader and a group that embodies the professionals that we see around us, friends, neighbors, people who we trust with our most important decisions. NAIFA was started in 1891 and is an insurance-based financial services organization, a nonprofit that has a diverse membership that includes life and health insurance agents, benefit specialists, multi-line agents, financial advisors, and advanced planners. And the association's mission is to advocate for a positive legislative and regulatory environment, enhance business and professional skills, and promote the ethical conduct of its members. You can all be mayors today, too, why not? The Los Angeles chapter is represented very proudly today by past and present board members, including Jason Koo, the new president, Felicia Dominguez, who I've known for many years, so we're still very young, right? Director at large. Lana Jacqueline McNally, who heads up our programs, Ben Aranda, past president, Don Harrington, past president, Gilbert Mares, who you know from each one of these presentations each year, a great not only past president and Rotarian, but he's done so much. Michael Mares, who's a past Young Advisors team member as well. And if I missed anybody, I'm sure Jason will hit them, so my apologies. But I'd like to introduce at this moment Jason Koo, who will speak. He is our Los Angeles area president, and I'd like to present this resolution on behalf of the entire City Council and the Mayor to him on this day to commemorate Life Insurance Awareness Month. Thank you for what you do to protect us, and thank you for spreading the message. Ladies and gentlemen, Jason Koo.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Council President Eric Garcetti. We did miss one person, Dennis Lawton, our National Government Relations, and we're proud to have him here. I'd like to say all of us are volunteers. We volunteer our time to provide support for our industry because we know that there is a huge a need of our education to promote life insurance as well as financial awareness. And 9/11, I believe, it was just a wake-up call for a lot of us, and the government had supported us to believe that it is important for us to definitely prepare for the threats that come and the unforsaken things to happen, and for us to remember the ones that are gone, but to also remember the ones that are left, that are left behind without this financial support and the breadwinners, and remember all the children that were left without their parents. So we want to make sure that we could never replace who's gone, but we want to make sure that the financial support and the lifestyle of all those families are left the way it was before the tragedies. Now, with that, I'd like to bring up our special guest. We have our state representative, our President-elect, Tom Michael, here. He will have a few words. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. I'll keep it brief. I know you got a busy day. I am a state representative. I'm a fourth-generation Angelino. As Eric said, Mr. Garcetti said, 30% of all American households have no life insurance. As a matter of fact, 11 million fewer Americans have life insurance than 6 years ago. And that's what Life Insurance Awareness Month is all about, to build up the awareness for this huge need. We need to make sure that everybody knows that life insurance should be part of every financial plan. Ironically enough, the national spokesman for Life Insurance Awareness Month is none other than our local NBA champion, star power forward, and now reality star, Lamar Odom. Many of you may not know, but Lamar lost his mother when he was 12 years old. She was age 35 to colon cancer. Because of life insurance, he was allowed to stay in his home.
Excuse me. Let me interrupt you for a moment.
Okay.
This chamber needs to show some respect to the speaker. and the Sergeant at Arms needs to make sure this chamber is quiet so the speaker can be heard. So those on the sidelines, please respect the speaker and take your conversations to the other room. I'm tired of admonishing you of the same thing over and over.
There you go.
I apologize for the interruption.
No
Please
problem.
go,
Thank
please,
you, Mr. Zine.
please
I've got a 10-year-old and a 7-year-old at home. I'm used to it. No.
Well, sometimes this is a playpen. Thank you. Go ahead. Please proceed.
As I was saying, Lamar Odom is the national spokesman. He lost his mother when he was 12 years old, when she was age 35, to colon cancer. He speaks about how life insurance would allow him to stay in his home, allow his grandmother to raise him, and be the success that he is today. For information on this, I highly recommend that you go to www.lifehappens.org. There's calculators on there where you can find information, and you can also hear Lamar's personal story. On a personal note, with 9/11 around the door, 4 years ago I had the pleasure of having dinner and introducing Mrs. Peggy Ognikowski. Peggy Ognikowski's husband was John Ognikowski. John was the captain of Flight 11 that flew into the North Tower. Because Captain Ognikowski had the foresight to buy additional insurance outside of what was provided to him through American Airlines, his 3 daughters were allowed to finish college, finish high school, and they are all successful today, and I keep in touch with them. So with that, we thank you for the time allotted to us, and we ask you all to consider life insurance in your financial plan.
Thank you.
Thank you again very much, Mr. President, and thank you for bringing order to the chambers. With that, we'll make sure that folks know about that. We'll publicize that link on many of our websites as well. And thank you to all of our planners who look out for our lives as we plan for ours. Thank you very much.
Extremely important. Do it before it's too late. Thank you. Thank you all for the presentation. Thank you, Mr. Garcetti. Mr. Clerk, we can now proceed with the agenda.
Mr. President, that takes council back to items called special or public comment on items on council's agenda.
We'll do public comment now.
Very good.
Arnold Sachs, our first public comment speaker, followed by Noel Weiss.
Thank you. Good morning. Arnold Sachs. I know this is going to be beating a dead horse, but let's talk a little bit about AEG. But more than AEG, let's talk about the owner of AEG. What the hell's his name? He also was involved in the Alameda Corridor Transportation Program. The Alameda Corridor Transportation Program is suffering bond shortage. It's going to default on some bond payments. Philip Anschutz. And now we find AEG, who's owned by Philip Anschutz, looking to get bond savings money from the city of LA. Have you looked into the Alameda Corridor and its financial status before you do your discussions with AEG and its financial statuses with those bonds? It's amazing what a little bit of undercover work will find out. Also AEG, and again, back to this campus and the convention center and the fact that AEG was given first right of refusal for land development. Because again, I ask about the property that's going to be used for the new convention center, the new West Wing. Why wasn't that ever used for development regarding a hotel? Because what's lacking in this whole area basically is rooms for the convention center, and as was stated in a newspaper article, the convention center is larger than the one in San Diego and one in San Francisco. Yet large conventions don't come to LA because there's no place to stay. Openness and transparency, not happening here.
No Weiss.
Council members, good morning. Here to talk about a new restaurant that's going to open in Los Angeles, LA Reflection. It's going to open on September 15th. There's a gentleman by the name of George Azarian who's part investor, or director, I should say, of LA Reflection. He's here along with other members of the restaurant. The purpose why we are here is because we're running into difficulty with the city, GSD, City Attorney's Office. The goal is basically to avoid litigation rather than to try to force the city. City Attorney's got enough to do. We all have enough to do. We're talking about $180,000 in salary. We're talking 55 people. We're talking economic activity downtown. It's important that this city council and the people of the city be aware of how the city does business. If we're talking openness and transparency, that means what we want to do is be able to sit down, resolve all of the outstanding issues relating to the difficulties in getting this lease going without making accusations at this point in time. Jan Perry isn't here. It's not fair basically to her in her absence, but I do have the emails, copies of an email basically that I sent to the City Attorney's Office that I want every council member to be aware of, because this will impact your district and your situation too in terms of how GSD does business. City Attorney gave me maybe 50 minutes. I detailed, and you'll see it, thoughtful. All we want to do is come to the table. We want a discussion. No consultation with the client, no nothing. What ended up was, we reject your proposal. I've got a week before I have to file a lawsuit in order to obviate a claim. I want a forbearance, and I want an opportunity to sit down and get this resolved. It's really the right thing to do. If we have responsibility for issues, we'll take our responsibility. The city needs to take their responsibility. Bottom line is, we got to get this economy going. And $180,000 a month in salary is very important. The economic activity that's associated with it, it's a good restaurant. It will be an asset to the city, and I am asking this council to basically do what it needs to do to effectuate a positive result here. Thank you, Officer Morris.
Thank you. We have 4 representatives from LA Reflection. If you'll please 4 come forward. Identify yourselves. The 4 gentlemen that you filled out cards. Ankar Majorian. There's 4 of you that have cards filled out. If you just identify yourself and go ahead and give your comments. There's 5 standing, but there's only 4 cards. So
my name is
the 4 representatives.
I'm from Mac Foundation.
Your name, sir?
Because my English is very poor.
What's your name, sir?
45 years I am here.
Your name, sir? Your name, sir?
What
is your name?
George Kriko Razarian.
George. Okay, thank you.
I am 45 years Los Angeles. I am 45 years I work volunteer for City Los Angeles. I got a volunteer, I got a foundation. I give 45 years food, low-income people. Food in my pocket, not in the government, not in the city, not in the food bank. Only 3 years, 4 years, food bank he give me free. But all under my pocket, I do 3 church, Compton City. I sponsor 300,000. I give the Compton City. My city helped me too. He gave me 10,000 square feet office, $1 a year. And then after that, studio, take it back on the Forest Street and the Bikes Street. And then city give me, Eric City, Antonio Villavesa give me 607 North Vermont office, 10 years almost, $1 a year. I work for city, everything for city. I am 90 years old. I changed 25 mayor, I know name. I support everybody. Next time I want to talk more better about business, about everything. Thank you.
Michael Simon.
Good morning, council members. I'm here today to formally invite you to a tasting for the upcoming opening of the restaurant. PAB Project LA Reflection is a project that the City of Los Angeles can be proud of because it's contributing towards stimulating the economy when it needs it the most and job creation at a time when the job market is very competitive and very, very hard to land a job. As a partner with the city, this project is definitely something to be accredited to towards job creation and stimulating the economy. And if I may, I'd like to announce these invitations.
Give it to the Sergeant Arms. He'll take care of it for you.
Okay.
Sergeant Arms will
Thank you
collect
much.
it. Thank
And
you
then
very much.
I'll follow up with your staff in order to coordinate a time for everybody and, welcome you to the restaurant. Thank you.
Thank you. Archer Bajordian.
Good evening, Councilman. My name is actually Erikel Bulgarian. I'm the head chef of the restaurant of LA Reflections. It's a good opportunity for me to grow into the industry and to actually have this opportunity for me to, as Michael Simon invited to you guys, and to invite you as myself to taste what we have to offer from LA Reflections. And that's pretty much it. Thank you very much.
Hello.
Good evening. My name is Meher Sagan.
Okay.
I love downtown Los Angeles. I've been a part of it. My family's had a business here in Fashion District for like 25 years. I got a tattoo of the skyline on my arm. That's how much I love downtown LA. It's a beautiful place. I'm very proud. LA is the best. We're working with LA Reflection right now to build a place where somewhere safe and people could come eat walking distance and enjoy good quality food and service. And we want to feed, basically. We want to, with this, do a lot of charity work to give back to people and basically feed the whole world, because no person should have an empty stomach and be starving. I don't think so. There's plenty of food to go around for everybody. And we want to clear up all this stuff so we could just blossom and make downtown even more beautiful than it already is, because it's coming along. Anyways, have a good evening, gentlemen. I'm done.
Thank you. Michael, carry on.
Yes, my name is Michael Carrion, and I come here often. And sometimes, especially days like today, it's embarrassing to be an Angelino. Come here, Mr. Rosenthal's on his phone not paying attention. Mr. Parks is on his computer. Mr. Koretz and Mr. Kokorian are having conversations. Our newest member, Mr. Inlinger, has 5 people around him. These people are putting their lives on stake. You give him 2 minutes, and then you want to argue with him because he can't pronounce his name properly. The TV cameras don't see all of your BSing. It's about time you treat this horseshoe with a little dignity, and not just like a horseshoe that belongs on a jackass. These people are human beings. They're taxpayers in your city, and you want to treat them rude. They come to you because they're having problems with the system, the way it works. They're asking you for advice. I say there's 2 people that were paying attention. That was Mr. Wesson and Mr. Weezar. And I'm glad that my council member was paying attention, or else I would have been on him too. I'm not picking on anybody here, but when I see wrong, I point it out. Shame on you. Shame on you guys, all of you guys. You should be ashamed of yourselves. Because when you sit up here, you demand respect. You turn around and tell people to be quiet out here when you're speaking, but when somebody's got their livelihood on stake, you guys don't even pay attention. You don't give a damn about nobody else but you. And that's a shame. It's embarrassing to be an Angelino at times like this. I basically came here today to tell you that Jan Perry's office got the new award for the worst council person office in the city of Los Angeles. I've been trying to talk to her office for the past 2 months with the most disrespect and rude and arrogant people working there. That is pathetical. So, have a nice day.
Thank you. Let's go to the San Fernando Valley. Lebo.
Is this the way you do this? Can you hear me? Hi.
Yes, we hear you. Go ahead, ma'am.
Well, I came to ask for your help, and I came to tell you about the success of a project that started in 1999 with the idea that LA's the place, and we're in this together as the city theme. And it started before that with research with the megacities, with Mexico City and with LA being megacities. So we started in the community. We started across all 15 districts, and we brought Wind in the Willows to LA. We worked in the schools with the parents and the kids, and we're still here today. And I came to tell you that we're now spanning between San Bernardino and from the desert to the ocean, talking about cleaning up our relationship to nature and helping parents and kids learn how to speak English because of all the research and reading. And so I'm going to be visiting as the Director of New Education Options with the different district offices, as we've always worked in all 15 city districts, to be able to come and bring this forward and help more people to be able to go forward and work with the Compact LA and get to higher education and be able to create this new economy we all want. Thank you so much. And you can see the video that was done by the Downtown Cultural Center kids and Van Nuys Crossroads Non-Public School on the LA City Stormwater website. And it will be shown a second year at the UN in follow-up to One Water, One Watershed, and the visit to the UN through UNA of Eric Garcetti and his father. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the wonderful work you're doing. Appreciate that very much. Thank you for bringing it to our attention. That will close our general public comment, and we will go to items called special now. If we can take the first items, please.
Mr. President, that brings us to item number 2. We do have cards on number 2. However, I've been advised that there's no longer an amending motion that is to be circulated for number 2, and that matter is now before you.
Okay, is that, has that had a public hearing, Mr. Clerk, or not? Is that agendized for
No, a public hearing was not held. We should still take the cards. However, there will be no forthcoming amending motion.
Okay, great. Mr. Arnold Sachs, it'll just be the item as is.
Yes, thank you. Good morning again, Arnold Sachs. Congratulations on the amendments for the Department of Animal Services for licensing dogs and related changes, what that might mean, maybe cats. So you're moving on making some changes to business licensing. Well, not business licensing, animal licensing. So maybe if the people that come up here talking about the restaurant had opened up an animal shelter, they could have had dog licenses gotten immediately, made the changes necessary, and then converted it into a restaurant. I don't know. Because your movement on making LA business friendly seems to be stuck in the mud. Although a new candidate for the mayor claims that he has knowledge that will move that business changes, speed up that process, as did another candidate who also claimed to have knowledge on speeding up business licensing process. So can you show to the public your dedication? You've shown dedication here for speeding along the pet licensing process, to speeding along the business licensing fiasco that is a drag on so many people wanting to open up businesses in LA. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sachs. Let's go ahead and open the roll, unamended as is. Close the roll and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
That is approved. Next item, please.
The matter will carry over to next week for second reading.
Yes, with fewer than 12 members that will carry over. Next item, please.
Mr. President, that brings us to item number 3, called special for cards.
Okay. We have a number of cards from item 3A. Thank you to folks who have been patient awaiting that. We have first Delia Sika. Is Delia Sika here? If not, is Yvonne, can't quite read, Sugo? And then Lucas Chamil. We also have Heidi Ramos and Isaac Raunia and Ben Hashemech after that. If you just necesitan traducción.
I don't know if we could get translators.
Sure. Un momentito.
Okay. Por favor.
Oh yeah, we're here because we heard that they were for our apartment at 309 Southwest Lake Avenue, case number 215110, that they're trying to close the case for REAP, and we're here to argue that they need to do like a full inspection of the whole building because we still have a lot of problems going on where we live, and we have bed bugs, and the repairs that the owners are doing are not good. They do them, they're like, they repair something and then a few days later we have, or the repair they did, you know, it falls off, or it's not working. It still is not being solved. And right now we're in my apartment building. I have bed bugs, and I've called the health department to complain about that. But when the inspector goes, he cannot. It's hard for him to find the bed bugs, but I do have them. But since he cannot see them physically when he goes and inspects the beds or around the furniture, he cannot find it. So then he doesn't take the complaint because he cannot see them. And we would like to have, I know that there's been times that the inspectors have been at the building, but they're not checking all apartment buildings. And I've been wanting to them to see my apartment so they could see that there's a lot of problems going on there still. And there's the managers at the building, they have access to all apartments, and they should be able to inspect all apartments. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry, ma'am, what was your name again? Which one?
Heidi Ramos.
Oh, you Heidi, okay, thank you. Sí. Nosotros, ¿quiere hablar?
Bueno, yo solo quiero que sepa usted que en nuestro apartamento ahí estamos en malas condiciones. La renta se tiene que pagar mes a mes y ellos no ven el sacrificio que uno hace.
I just want to tell you that my apartment is also in bad conditions, and we have to pay rent every month, but they don't realize the sacrifice that we do.
Que hay muchas chinches y que mi niño se tiene que ir así desvelado a la escuela y mi esposo también.
We have a lot of bed bugs, and my son has to go to school without having a good night's sleep, and also my husband.
Cuando uno les pide que vayan a fumigar, ellos llegan a veces a las 7 de la noche queriendo trabajar.
When we ask them to come and fumigate, sometimes they come at 7 p.m. and that's when they want to do the fumigation.
Ellos dicen que a veces uno no los deja, pero ¿cómo no los va a dejar si llegan a las 7 de la noche cuando uno tiene que descansar?
Yeah, they claim that we don't allow them to do their job, their work, but how can we allow them if they come at 7 p.m. when it's time for us to rest?
Nosotros solamente pedimos que nos tengan en buenas condiciones, que para eso pagamos una renta.
We are just asking them to have our apartment in good condition. That's why we pay rent for.
Para nosotros es un sacrificio el tener la renta y ser puntuales y el que ellos nos tengan en malas condiciones.
Yeah, for us it's a sacrifice to put our rent together and pay on time when they don't keep us in good condition.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you.
Gracias. ¿Su nombre, por favor?
Su nombre.
¿Su nombre?
Mi nombre es Delia.
Delia, gracias.
My name is Delia.
En mi apartamento también hay muchas chinches y muchas cucarachas.
I have a lot of bed bugs and cockroaches in my apartment.
Y pues allí también no llegan a fumigar, y cuando llegan pues ya horas de la tarde, ya a las 6, 7 de la noche.
Yeah, they don't come to fumigate, and when they come to do it, they come late, 6, 7 p.m.
Y también a veces nos deja sin agua.
And sometimes they cut the water.
Los sábados y domingos, o si no, entre semanas, nos dejan ellos sin agua. Y pues,
Saturdays, Sundays, or sometimes during the week they cut the water.
Y no nos avisan cuando ellos quitan el agua.
And they don't tell us ahead of time when they are going to disconnect the water.
Y hay muchas reparaciones en mi apartamento, a veces no cambian el piso, hay de muchos colores, o sea, no. ¿Mucho qué? Lo que pasa es que ellos dicen desde que llegan a cambiar el piso del baño y ya no lo dejan bien.
Yeah, and you know, there are a lot of repairs that need to be done in my apartment. For example, they come and say that they are going to change the floor of the bathroom, but when they do it, they don't do it right.
Solamente.
That's all.
Gracias. Lucas.
Muy buenos días, me llamo Lucas.
Buenos días.
Good morning, my name is Lucas.
Yo vengo a suplicarle aquí, digamos que el apartamento donde vivo, digamos que todo dice que ya lo cambiaron todo, ya lo arreglaron todo, nadie lo han hecho.
Yeah, I come to tell you that even though they said that they have repaired everything, they haven't done anything.
Lo único que lo han hecho nomás solo la ventana me arreglaron, todas las carpetas de la cocina y del baño, todas se están levantando y la alfombra que tengo ya no sirve para nada.
They have just repaired the window and the floors in the bathroom and the kitchen. They are kind of they're lifted. They're coming up and then they said they were going to change the carpet, but they haven't done anything.
Y también tenemos un problema del agua y a veces cuando queremos bañar y a veces ponemos digamos que el frío al caliente, pero a veces hay rato que queda puro el caliente nomás y el frío no nos llega.
And we also have problems with the water when we want to take a shower. Sometimes, you know, the cold water is cut and we only have hot water.
Y un problema también, yo creo que algún corte-circuito tiene ahí porque cada rato se queman los focos y yo mismo que tengo que cambiar porque a algún momento a otro puede pasar otra cosa más grave.
I think we have a shortage, an electrical shortage, because the light bulb, it burns very often. I have to keep changing them.
Y también le dejo recomendar a las chinchas que están molestando mucho porque tenemos muchas chinchas y las cucarachas casi no fumigado. No.
We have a lot of bed bugs and they really bother us a lot, and we also have a lot of cockroaches. They haven't fumigate.
Y eso es lo único. Muchas gracias.
And that's all. Thank you very much.
Gracias, señor. Mi oficina puede asistirles a ustedes. Este es en el distrito de señor Reyes y él no está aquí. Tal vez nosotros podemos tomar acción la próxima semana a hablar con ustedes, ¿ok? Okay, thank you. We also have, also on item 3, but 3B, Isaac Radnia, or Ronia, and Ben Hashemich. Like to come forward.
Good afternoon. With all due respect to the City Council, I have nothing to say unless this is going to be opposed. So I'd like to be heard if there's anybody that would like to oppose the vote to remove the building from REAP.
Thank you. Any members wishing to be heard on any of these items? If not, let's pull out 3A until Mr. Reyes is here. There's no other motions on any other ones. Let's take up the rest of the items then, please. Please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Okay. Those are approved. If we can go to the next item called special.
Mr. President, that brings us to item number 4,
Okay.
called special for cards.
Mr. Sachs, if you'd like to come forward on item number 4.
Thank you. Good morning again, Arnold Sachs. This again, the use of CRA funds for the Nate Holden Performing Arts Center. How about the use of CRA funds for affordable housing in the district, which is actually one of the tenets for CRA funds to be used for affordable housing in the districts where the redevelopment agencies exist. I believe, according to something that Councilman Wesson once said, not all the districts in the city have CRA activity in them, because not all of them have CRA agency involved in those districts. But in the districts where CRA funding is collected, how much of that percentage goes to affordable housing? And how much of that percentage in this district of CRA funding goes to graffiti removal? Because of the economic uncertainty, the priorities for where funding is being spent need to be looked at. And until you can produce the affordable housing that's necessary for the city, and until you can produce the graffiti-less areas that the citizens should deserve, funding for the Performing Arts Center should be moved a little bit further down the list. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sachs. Close public hearing on number 4. If we can open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
That is approved. We can take up the roll for the special meeting, please.
Very good. Alarcon, Cardenas, Englander, Weezer, Koretz, Krikorian, Labange, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendahl, West, and Zion, Garcetti. 11 members present and a quorum.
Okay.
Mr. President.
First order of business, please. First items.
Items 5 and 6 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration.
All right. If there's no objection to consideration, those are before us. We do have a card on item 5, and I have a verbal amendment for that as well. So let's go ahead on item 6. There's no cards. Anybody wishing to call 6 special? If not, let's take a vote on 6 first. Please prepare the roll and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
That is approved. And item number 5, Mr. Sachs, would you like to come forward?
Yes, thank you again, Arnold Sachs. Unfortunately, I didn't see number 6, but item number 5 relates to the adopted regular meeting schedule of the City Council Standing Committees. In adopting this schedule, is there an adoption of a time to start the meetings? I know that pursuant to council rules, City Council is supposed to start at 10 o'clock, but rare is the day that a City Council meeting starts at 10 o'clock, usually 15 minutes late, and some fast math has proved out that it's about 4.5 days of inactivity in a year, which is quite a bit of time. In addition, in today's meeting for the economic recovery, public comment was limited to 1 minute. So will that be the standing order for these committees now, that public comment will be limited to 1 minute? You can't seem to start the meetings on time to benefit the public, and then the public will show up and be limited to 1 minute. Your attention to detail is so negligent that the few words that I use to describe it is more than it deserves. But again, thank you for your consideration, thank you for your attention. And so I ask again, will these meetings start on time, as is the precedent set by the sitting City Council? And by the way, this doesn't even make sense. Thank you, Mr. Zion, for your speaking up about paying attention when you, again, as a previous speaker once said on this side, your courtesy to the people at the microphone is overwhelming.
Thank you, Mr. Sachs. And just, well, I'll wait till I'm back at the regular meeting about continuing the 3A item. We have 5 before us. I'd like to just amend item 5 regarding the meeting schedule for the committees to change the Transportation Committee meeting time from 3 o'clock till 2 o'clock. Per Mr. Rosendahl's instruction, the Jobs Committee from 2 to 9 a.m. and the meeting room from 1060 to Council Chambers. We also have item 5A without objection. We'll add to that, which is for the Arts, Parks, Neighborhoods Committee being changed to 3 p.m. instead of 2 p.m. Mr. Parks.
President, colleagues, I just ask, as we look at these numbers, it's clear that many people do not want to have committee meetings on Mondays or Fridays, but it appears that Wednesdays has basically been inundated, and particularly for those who sit on multiple committees. In my case, if we have Public Works at 2, And generally, when we think about Wednesday's date, it's generally a date we have closed session, which normally it's very tough to get to 2 o'clock meetings, which pushes in 3. And if you're sitting on personnel at 3, you end up either missing Public Works and getting to personnel, or on the two and the second, the fourth week for jobs and transportation, we run into the same situation. So I'd ask if we could look at some way to adjust those times to where, if it's at 3:30, or some people are concerned about 4, if we move the 2 o'clock meeting up, we run into the closure of council. And Mr. Garcetti, I was going to ask, maybe we could reconsider on Wednesdays not having closed session and move it to another date so that we could have a freer calendar on Wednesdays, but something to where we can be assured if we're going to sit on the meetings, we could actually attend. And so it's something that I would ask, and I don't know how many other conflicts they are, but I have yet to be at any committee that lasts just an hour, even if they start on time. So those are the major conflicts for me, that every Wednesday we have it, first or third or second or fourth. I have 2 committees, one starting at 2 and one at 3, and then we know council often goes well beyond 1 o'clock.
We can work on keeping agendas light, Mr. Parks, on Wednesdays and making that achievable, or potentially move 3:30. Why don't we move this through? This is always a very delicate china shop with everyone's schedules, so I don't like to change it too much on the fly. So let's get this in place. We'll be happy to work with you, though, and anybody else on making sure that we keep the Wednesday council meetings lighter so that those don't bleed into our committee meetings as much. Okay? So as amended, let's go ahead and open the roll on item 5, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Okay, that is approved. And the new schedule will be set. We'll let the members of the public know all about that. Let's go ahead and adjourn our special meeting and return to the regular meeting. I'd like to specify, because we didn't give a date certain on 3A, if we can continue that till Tuesday.
No, not job.
And give Council District 1 the opportunity to work with our constituents on that. And with that, next order of business. We'll send that forthwith, too. Absolutely.
Mr. President, would you like to send 5 and 6 forthwith?
Yes, please.
Very good.
Next order of business in the regular meeting.
Council has motions for posting and referral.
Those are posted and referred.
There are excuses on the desk.
Let's run through excuses.
Councilmember Zine requests to leave at 12:30 on October 26th due to city business. A motion is required.
Do you feel that it's a good excuse, Mr. Clerk?
I certainly do.
Oh, wow. Well, we won't hold that against them. That takes us down to 11 or to 10?
Let me check for you, sir.
All right. Should be okay because it's a Friday, but I just want to be certain.
That would take us down to 11.
Okay. All right. I'll move that, and Mr. Parks seconds that objection. That excuse is granted. Next excuse.
Very good. President Garcetti requests to leave at 12 on September 13 due to city business. A motion is again required.
Does that take us to 11 before I excuse him?
Yes, sir, it does.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Englander, for moving, and Mr. Alarcon for seconding. That excuse is granted. Next excuse.
Councilmember Alarcon requests to arrive at 11 on September 14 due to city business. A motion is required.
All right. We'll have Mr. Rosendahl move and Mr. Huizar second without objection. Mr. Alarcon is excused.
Councilmember Reyes requests to be excused on September 28th due to city business. That meets council policy.
Okay, he's excused.
And Councilmember Koretz requests to be excused on September 30th due to personal business. A motion is required.
Okay. All right, Mr. I'll move that, and Mr. Rosendahl second that objection. That'll be approved. All right. Other excuses?
No, sir. The desk is clear.
Okay. Any announcements, colleagues? Obviously, we had an announcement about tomorrow's activities. I think throughout the city we're going to be seeing many commemorations of 9/11 anniversary. Tomorrow, as was mentioned earlier, we will be having in the evening at 7 p.m. One Light, One Peace, One World ecumenical service with religious leaders that we saw here earlier in the meeting. That's going to be again here on the Spring Street steps. And then, of course, we also have an event that the Los Angeles Fire Department will be holding at 9 a.m. at the Frank Hotchkin Memorial Training Center, 1700 Stadium Way in Mr. Reyes' council district in the Elysian Park, Echo Park area. That will be the Los Angeles Fire Department's remembrance, which they have done each year for 9/11, but obviously takes on very special meaning. Mr. Koretz's district, I know the Museum of Tolerance is going to be doing something at 11 o'clock as well to commemorate the 10th anniversary of the memorial as well. And the Cathedral of Our Lady of Angels will also be having a 10th anniversary 9/11 remembrance concert throughout the day and into the evening. And then finally, one other event that will be marking that is there will be a memorial tree planting with the Hollywood Beautification Team at 5 p.m. in North Hollywood Park. That will be ongoing, a tradition that Hollywood Beautification Team began many years ago. Mr. Rosendahl.
Mr. President, I just want to let my folks in the district know that the LAPD Pacific Community Police Station, and that's there on Culver Boulevard near Centinela, is going to have a open house and a pancake breakfast fundraiser. And it's a beautiful opportunity for my constituents to meet the men and women of the LAPD Pacific Division, the Pacific Beach Detail. They've been incredible, and the ATVs, the LAPD Special Units will also be present. Guided tours, games, raffle, and much more. Mothers Against Drunk Driving will also have a display. And this starts in the morning at 8 a.m. and goes until 1 o'clock. And so if you're in the neighborhood there, come on by, get to know your officers, and enjoy a pancake breakfast. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Mr. Parks.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I'd just like to announce to the public and USC football, in conjunction with honoring veterans, is making available a special deal for the Utah game this week, September the 10th. They're going to provide 2 tickets for one price for any military personnel or reserves, also police and firefighters. And the call is to 213-740-1244. Also, staff is going to give everybody a copy of the USC schedule for those that from UCLA, that's called football, so that they know there's a sport that is being played. Also, FAME is having their 7th annual back-to-school giveaway health fair Saturday, September the 10th at the FAME Renaissance at 1968 West Adams. And then also we will have the Vermont Slauson Entrepreneurial Training is also having their new classes that start September the 10th, and the contact number is 323-789-4515. Thank you.
Thank you. Other announcements, Mr. Huizar?
Tomorrow, September 10th, we have the annual Mexican Independence Day Parade. It usually starts on Cesar Chavez and Lorena. This year it's going to be pushed up more into unincorporated East LA with it starting at Mendick, and it's going to make its way down to Eastern. So that starts tomorrow, 10 a.m., celebrating the independence of Mexico, an annual parade that is the largest Mexican Independence Day parade celebration in the United States. Thank you.
And it won't just be an Independence Day celebration, will it be? It'll be Jose Huizar's birthday celebration as well.
That's right.
So we wish you a very, very happy birthday, Mr. Huizar, tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
It may be a good one. Absolutely.
I think I'll be 21.
Absolutely. It's a great age, and you're finally legal. Mr. Koretz.
Thank you, Mr. President. In CD5, we have 2 emergency preparedness fairs on Sunday. One would begin at 10:30 at the Sherman Oaks Galleria, and there will also be an emergency preparedness fair on the west side of my district in Century City at the Westfield Mall starting at 2 p.m.
Thank you. Any other announcements, colleagues? If not, if I could ask everybody in chambers to please rise for adjourning motions. In about 5 minutes, we'll begin the ceremonies on our south steps, south lawn, for the remembrance of 9/11 with Mayor Villaraigosa and our police and fire chief. We already went through the victims of 9/11, but of course we know what followed were wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. And on behalf of Councilmember Labange, If we could ask everybody to rise for our adjourning motions. Councilmember Labange asked if we would please honor two fallen LAPD officers that were victims of the War on Terror. Robert James Cottle, who was the first LAPD officer killed during military service in Afghanistan on April 24, 2010, and Joshua Cullens, the second LAPD officer who was killed by roadside bomb in Afghanistan on October 19, 2010. I'd like to add to that list Joselito Villanueva, Army Sergeant First Class, who was from Los Angeles, the brother of a former staff member of mine, and an amazing young man who was killed by a sniper in Iraq in 2003. Mr. Rosendahl?
Quick comment on that. We've lost 5,000 Americans in the war in Iraq, and I don't know the total number in Afghanistan, but I wear my hat in solemnity to all of the American troops, men and women who have been involved with the aftermath, the war on terror for the last 10 years. And they're in our hearts and they're in our prayers, and may they all rest in peace.
Thank you. If we could have a moment of silence for those who have fallen since the war started. Thank you. Mr. Zine?
Adjourning motion, Mr. President, for Jean Hollistein. I attended the memorial service last evening at St. Bernardine's Church, a member of that parish. Jean died on September 2nd, peacefully in her home, surrounded by her loving family. Dorothy Jean Brittingham was born June 1st, 1928, in Millsboro, Delaware, to Ida Marie and Hiram Brittingham. Raised in Chester, Pennsylvania, attended Chester High School. After graduating in 1946, she worked for Prudential Insurance Company in Philadelphia. In 1950, she joined the United States Marine Corps, serving 5 years, stationed in Pearl Harbor for 3 of those years, working in the Officers Club arranging events. It was in Hawaii she learned to dance the hula, met her 4 lifetime friends, moved to Fort Lauderdale, Florida, where she met Wally Hollenstein, who became her devoted husband for 54 years. Moved to Los Angeles, where Jean became a dedicated mom, raising her 5 children. Sandy, twins Donna and Mark, Tommy, and Tricia also worked alongside her husband at the Hungry Tiger restaurant. In August 1972, they bought the Calabasas Inn restaurant. Jean and Wally owned and operated the inn for 34 years. Spent her life happily working with her husband side by side as dining room manager and sales office manager. Truly a family establishment. Many memories were made as all 5 children and numerous grandchildren worked with her over the years. They sold the Calabasas Inn and retired together in 2006. Spent her time dedicated to her family, friends, church, and volunteer work, traveling with her husband and family. Woman of faith, unending love and devotion, but cheer and optimism, known affectionately as Mom. Lived a wonderful, happy, and full life. Will be greatly missed by the many she touched over her lifetime, including her 5 children and her spouse, 2 grandchildren, 4 great-grandchildren, numerous other extended family members, and those who became family over the years. The funeral mass was held today at St. Bernardine's in Woodland Hills. May she rest in peace. A wonderful lady who I knew, her and her husband, and in fact, Mitch England, or his chief of staff. John was married at the Calabasas Inn. I remember the ceremony. So just a great establishment, great family. May she rest in peace.
Thank you, Mr. Zine. Do we have any other adjourning motions today, colleagues? If not, Mr. Clerk, will you please call the roll? We will next be in session on September 13th, Tuesday, this coming week at 10 a.m. We wish you a peaceful weekend, and we will next be in session on Tuesday. Thank you all. This meeting of the Los Angeles City Council is adjourned.